without a shadow of a doubt, we back once again. So they got 1,000 different shows come on every day. But we the originator. It's the War Zone. I got my co-host, Donovan, Saadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and Basketball Royalty. One of the baddest that ever touched the hardwood, man. I could go through all the accolades, but I'm going to just leave it in H-Town. 4 times WNBA champion, Cynthia Cooper-Dyke. In the
Thanks
building.
for having me.
With us.
In the building.
We're going to go in, man. I want to say top of the afternoon to all of y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, we couldn't do this without you guys. You make it possible for us to do what we do. I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. We got a lot of guests that came on, got a lot of guests that's coming, in the future. Don King is coming. I mean, it's just a bunch of people, but I'm a sports fan. I'm an athlete, and I stopped playing ball after high school because I knew I would never play with the type of guys I played with anymore, and I would never be coached by the type of coaches that I had. So, when I run into royalty in the sports arena, you just got to bow down to it. You got to bow down to it. Now, we just finished watching the last 2 or 3 weeks the docu-series on Jordan. Man, they say Swoops is the female Jordan. And I say that's a lie. I say Coop is the female Jordan.
Yeah.
She got the rings to prove it. She got all the accolades. And at the end of the day, she came home again to be the head coach of the TSU Tigers women's basketball team. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. I couldn't be in a better city. Love Houston. Love being back home. Love my team. Shout out, during this time we've been a little distance and haven't seen them in a while, but only on the computers. But I'm loving. Everything is great.
Man, I tell you something. I mean, when you girls showed up, not girls, ladies, when you ladies showed up and just turned this city upside down. I mean, we ain't never been the same since. And we can always say when folks get to talking about, well, Houston don't have that many championships. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of them. And they come from some bad ladies, man, that could flat out ball. I call it balling out the gym. And from me to you, I don't know what you call it, shooting them threes. I said you were shooting threes from the parking lot. So whenever I knew you were playing, my money was good on the wood because I'm going to win every time. So I'm going to turn this over to Demetra.
I'm going to use that one. Good on the wood.
It was good on the wood, man, because I ain't lose too much money when you were playing. I was just lovely back then. Demetra, you got it.
So once again, I just like to say welcome. And, the little bit of reading I did, because I'm not really into sports, but the reading I did, they did consider you the female Michael Jordan. So I want to ask you, do you like being compared to Michael Jordan? How do you feel about that?
I don't mind being compared to anybody. My game is my game. The passion, the energy, the determination I played with, really the championships speak to my dedication to the sport. And that's on every level, from high school to college to pros, we've won championships on every level. So I don't mind being, labeled the female Michael Jordan. I'm all about promoting women, promoting female sports. And if that's how the next generation or some fans are able to connect themselves with women's basketball by comparing me to Michael Jordan, have at it. And besides, you could compare me to much worse. I'm just saying.
They might need to compare Michael Jordan to Coop, man.
Yeah, from what I'm reading, that's what I was thinking as well. So also, I was reading that I guess the WNBA didn't come into existence. I think it was 11 years after you graduated college. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah.
Did you ever? Oh, go ahead.
So yeah, so I played overseas. By the way, io parlo italiano perché ho giocato in Italia per 10 anni. Allora, cioè, io ho imparato la lingua. So I speak fluent Italian because I played in Italy for 10 years. And I played my first year in Spain. That was the only opportunity for women to play professional sports, was to go overseas and play in Europe. So yeah, I went over there to pursue my dream of playing pro ball. And I was, you know, I was blessed to that opportunity to play in the WNBA didn't pass me by. You know, I thought it would, I thought it might, but I mean, y'all, everybody's comparing me to Michael Jordan when I was a 33-year-old, 34-year-old rookie. Can you imagine me at 26?
Right, okay.
27? I'm just saying.
Okay.
But you know, I'm glad I was able to come back and really be one of the first players in the WNBA to help promote and be a pioneer of the WNBA. So that, because every game I played like there was a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old that was dreaming of playing professional basketball, and I was the only game she was going to see. And I wanted to make sure that I took on that responsibility every single game.
So did you ever think in the time that you were playing overseas that the WNBA would actually come into fruition?
No, to be very honest with you, I thought my professional career would begin and end overseas. And it was a great career. I mean, I had great accolades overseas, but you know, there's something to be said for playing in America with American fans and your family and friends participating and watching and celebrating with you. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. You know, I played in Madison Square Garden, love Madison Square Garden, played in the Forum, you know, played in some of the biggest arenas across this country, but there ain't nothing like the Compact Center and 16,000 fans, all in red, screaming MVP.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Hey,
like, it was amazing.
Awesome. Donovan?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show. I've been a long time friend. I don't call myself a fan because that's fanatic, but you were the face of the WNBA for a couple of years. I mean, matter of fact, the whole time you were there, I mean, you won the MVP the first 4 years, and you totally betrayed Los Angeles because we had to go through you guys to get to the championship. So I lost a lot of money, by the way. But let's talk about what a lot of people don't really talk about when it comes to you. In high school, you attended Locke High School before you enrolled at USC. You averaged 31 points a game in high school. A lot of people don't even know that. I mean, that fact came out, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then you go to USC, where you're a part of probably the greatest women's basketball team of all times, playing with Cheryl Miller. And how was that playing with Cheryl?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that not only did I average 31 points my senior year in high school, but I had only been playing basketball for 3 years. And I only had one scholarship offer, and that was from USC. And so playing with the McGee twins and Cheryl Miller, you know, for me, I still had a lot to learn. And learning from a great player like Cheryl Miller, and Cheryl Miller also had a great work ethic. So I learned that as well. And then the McGee twins, and, you know, they had a work ethic, and then they had a flair to them that really helped me develop as not only a basketball player, but as a woman, as a young woman. And so USC really opened the window of the world to me. The windows of the world were open because they gave me the confidence to really do and be whoever I wanted to be, that I could write my own story, that I was in charge. I was the author, and that I was in charge of that. So, you know, playing with that level of talent, I got better, and I got better fast because there was no other option, because that's just how talented that team was.
Right. And then another thing a lot of people did, and I didn't know this either. This woman here was basically Miss USA because you played in the Pan American Games, the first Goodwill Games. I mean, for like 2 or 3 years, you represented the United States abroad. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Oh God, there's nothing better than being the best with USA on your chest. Like that, just standing on the podium, receiving the gold medal and proving to the world that you're the best, that the championships and the gold medal comes through your country. And that's really what that was all about. And I'll tell you a really quick story. So my journey to USA basketball was really one that was by chance. So in 86, a friend of mine, Doretha Conwell, was invited to try out for the world championship team for USA basketball. I wasn't invited, but I wanted to play with Doretha. Doretha was from Locke High School, and she had to go to a junior college. So we kind of missed each other playing in college. So I went out to Colorado Springs. I tried out in an open tryout with 300 people. And long story short, I ended up making the team, and Doretha didn't. So we still didn't get a chance to play together. But that was my start with USA basketball. And then we went on to win Pan American Games, the World Championships. We won the World Championships in the former Soviet Union. We won that gold medal. And then, you know, my USA basketball career really took off from there. And I went from not playing in the World Championships in 86 to starting in the Olympic gold medal game in 1988 in Seoul, Korea.
Wow. Well, I'm going to tell y'all something. I used to live in Cairn Crow, Louisiana. That's like a hop, skip, and a jump from Lafayette, Louisiana. And
I'm sorry, say that name one more time.
I lived in Cairn Crow, Louisiana. And that's like a hop, skip, and a jump right down the road, maybe a mile from Lafayette, Louisiana.
That's like Watts, right?
Ma'am?
That's like Watts? Like
Yep.
Watts, LA?
Yep. Well, here's the thing. My neighbor was a lady named Loretta Perra. Yep. And her husband or her boyfriend did music, and we would always just run into each other everywhere. And we're still friends till this day. He lives in Houston. And I used to see this little skinny, light-skinned girl go there all the time, go to Loretta's house, and had no clue that years later it would be Comets player Kim Perra.
Yep.
And what was it like? And I mean, she could flat out ball. I saw her balling at USL. What was it like to play with Kim and then go through what you good people went through at the end with Kim?
You know, it was a pleasure. It was an honor to play with someone as gifted as Kim. And the reason it was so special to play with Kim is because, first of all, she was a general, a floor general. Secondly, I almost led the league in steals because Kim Perrott would deflect the ball and I would get the steal. I'm just saying. No. So it was awesome. I just saw something on Instagram and they were putting out, the question was, who was the best floor general in WNBA history? And I wrote on there Kim Perrott. You guys are leaving her off of this list because she had to deal with Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, and Cheryl Swoops, and get hers. And she had to deal with Van Chancellor and keep the other teammates in their place, in their role, right? And she did that for back-to-back championships. So it was amazing playing with Kim, and it was heartbreaking playing without Kim and living through her passing. She was just a great person. She made people happy, and there wasn't someone too small or too big for Kim. She showed everybody love and attention, and she cherished every moment she had in the WNBA. I remember our first championship game. She was so nervous. You know, I'm thinking, why are you so nervous? It's a championship game. I guess everybody get nervous. I never really. Anyway, and I said, why are you so nervous? She said, I've never won a championship. I said, you're going to win one tonight. And that's just that's the bond we had. And that's just the mentality that we had as a team.
You played for some great coaches from high school to all your international games. What was it like to play for the great Van Chancellor?
Well, first I had to understand them. That Southern drawl, man. He told Janetta King from Brazil to go up there yonder, go down yonder. She just looked around like, what does yonder mean? He said, go over there, girl. So it was great playing for Van. I thought he was a great X and O's coach, but also a great manager of people. It's difficult to have all of those women in the same place at one time. Then all of the personalities, and you've got to win games, and the pressure of playing the first year in the WNBA without Cheryl Swoops. Remember, she was pregnant most of the year. She only came back the last 5 games. So he handled it well. He's just a great coach, great person. And I just every year when we had tryouts, I would make sure I would tell all of the people trying out. Sometimes they were, coming from other teams. Sometimes they were rookies. I said, if Coach Chancellor ever challenges you to play dominoes and you agree to play dominoes, don't win because you will get cut the next day.
Wow.
That's how competitive he was. Not in dominoes, not in spades. That's what
we want to welcome you back to the SWAC. I think you had a couple of stops, one at PV, and then you had one at TSU. So if y'all don't understand this, that PV TSU rivalry, no matter if they playing jacks, is serious. Is that serious? So
now, y'all too young for jacks. Y'all didn't play jacks.
If they playing jacks, it's dead serious when you
Marbles.
put the Panthers and them Tigers in one room. So I know you coming back to TSU this year, and I think the first year you went back to PV was the very first time that they had ever won a SWAC championship on the ladies' side of the hardwood. I got to shout out to my folk at PV because I got a lot of friends from PV that helped me out in the struggle with the fights with the schools. So I'm definitely gonna show them some love. What's the difference? Not from a coaching standpoint or a player standpoint. What's the difference inside of you between those two great institutions?
Well, they're two great institutions that are led by great people, and they have great heritage. And so when you have that type of, what the best thing about Prairie View and Texas Southern is the Black heritage, the Black power, that you feel comfortable in your skin, that you can be great all by yourself, and then you see other people being great that look like you. I love my time at Prairie View. We won a lot of championships. For me, it's all about mentality. It's all about win. It's all about be great. It's all about don't settle for less. Don't give me no excuses. Give me some reasons. Give me a reason you're going to be great today. You're going to succeed today. You're going to pass this test, ace this test, and pass this class, or be great on the court, or be great when you're talking to some young people to motivate them to be great. And so for Prairie View and Texas Southern, they bring out that in our African-American young people. And that's the fire that I feel every time I coach on the bench, or I speak to some of the kids walking around campus. I call them kids because they are to me. But it's just great to see that positive energy and those people hungry, the young African-American population on that campus, hungry for greatness, hungry to make their mark in this world. And I believe that they will.
Demetri?
So I want to just take a minute to talk about Kobe for a second. We know before he passed, he was doing a lot to bring a lot of attention to the WNBA. We also know he was grooming his daughter that unfortunately passed with him to eventually play with the WNBA. So what are your thoughts about what he was doing? And is there anybody else that's going to take up the mantle of what he was trying to do as far as bring attention and equality to the WNBA?
I think there are a lot of NBA players that could help out with the WNBA and continue to push that narrative of, hey, You know, women's basketball is amazing. It's fun to watch. It's fun to participate in. And they play their style, but it's still entertaining. I think a lot of NBA players, you know, they ring that bell. They really push that narrative forward. But Kobe was special. And Kobe understood he was special. He understood the platform that he had. And so he exposed his daughter. He understood that he would have to expose his daughter to greatness at a very early age so that she could set her priorities, that she could set her dreams and her goals, and that she could set one goal and then achieve that one and understand that there was something bigger and better waiting. And he did that at a very early age for Gigi. And that's why you saw him taking her to the UConn games or taking her to the Oregon games or aligning her with great players, great college players early on. And then I saw him teaching her how to create space by stepping into the defender and then stepping back and getting that shot off. He was showing her the tricks of the trade, not the fundamentals, not always the fundamentals. He started there, but then showed her really things that some of the players today don't know. So he was amazing, just amazing with using his platform to promote a sport that he respected, that he loved, and that he wanted his daughter to have that same respect and love for it.
I just want to make sure everybody understands, not only are you in the Women's Hall of Fame, you're also in the Naismith Hall of Fame, and she was the first WNBA player to be inducted into the big Hall of Fame. So, I mean, you've done a lot of firsts just coming out of college. And, you know, and if I was in college, like at the time that you went through, to think that you, of all people, would just be opening it, not even opening, kicking the damn doors open and going through them is just, you know, I don't know where I would be. But Demetra knows I was a Sparks season fan holder, so I would always hit them things, and we sat in a nice little area and stuff like that. But as far as
I just wanted you to know, before I took it personal every time I played the Sparks because I wanted to come back to LA. Houston chose me because Cheryl Swoops was pregnant, right? Houston didn't even know I was already living in Houston. But you know, my family, I'm coming back to America, so I want to go where my family is. So I took it personal that the Sparks didn't choose me. So every time I brought my A game every time I played the Sparks. Okay,
trust me, we know. Trust me, we know. But you know, with what's going on with the WNBA, I mean, you guys started it. You know, the pay, you know, and you had a bunch of teams in the league. I mean, I'm a big supporter of it because women play a better round of game, in my opinion. But now with the pay disparity, what is your take as a former player, a coach? I mean, you've done it on all levels in regards to the disparity in the pay.
You know, I probably will get in trouble for this, but you know, if you guys can remember the NBA at 10 years, at 12 years, at 20 years, the pay disparity from Wilt Chamberlain to LeBron James. And I just think we're going to need time. We still need to gain the support and trust and support of the fans. We need to continue to promote and introduce our game and our style of game to the public and to the fans. So I don't know that I love the fact that they're making more money. I love the fact that we're continuing to grow, whether it be with the level of talent that you see in the WNBA now versus back when I played, and the money. When you see the money and the promotions and all of the things that are happening right now for the WNBA, I'm amazed and I'm genuinely happy. And I think they will continue to grow. You just can't put the cart before the horse. We've got to pay our dues, just like every league paid their dues. And if we stay the course, I think we'll be fine.
I got a question. HBCUs are to me some of the greatest athletes in a lot of different sports have come out of HBCUs. Now you're at TSU. How hard is it to recruit? Because this is Nick Strong who's a big TSU. I think he does baseball broadcasting, but he's a coach over at U of H downtown. And this is an argument he always screams that HBCUs are just as good as the regular Division I colleges. You can still get an education. You can get a top-notch education. You can ball out. They still gonna come. They still gonna come get you. How hard is it to recruit for the HBCUs compared to like when you were at USC?
Oh, it's difficult. It's difficult. The budgets are difficult, are different. The budgets are different. But the mentality. For some reason, someone told African American talented athletes that you can't go to an HBCU and go to the pros. And that's just unfortunate. Also, because you will go to a different school and sit on their bench for 3 of your 4 years instead of coming to a HBCU and being a star for 3 years and then going on to your NBA, your WNBA, your 3 or 4 years, whichever. And so for me, the opportunity is there. It's difficult sometimes because now you have your BCS level schools that have all the money and unlimited budgets, and it makes it very difficult. But there's so much talent out there. There's so much talent out there that it can be done. You just got to, as an HBCU, we just got to do our homework. We just got to put forth the effort. And we're used to having to do twice the work in order to achieve the same result. And to be honest, my entire career I've had to do it, and I don't mind. I don't mind because guess what? I want to win. I don't want to win a game. I want to win a championship, and I want to compete against everyone, right? So when Rice comes to Texas Southern, guess what they get? Our A game, and they go home with an L because, yeah, you have your mentality coming in, but we have our mentality, and listen. I have my team ready. We go out to Tulane. They are shocked when we put it on my full court, pressed them. I trapped them. I did everything in the book so that we could get more possessions and have an opportunity to win on the road. Same way with Hawaii. Hawaii beat University of Texas. We beat Hawaii by 20 because we was giving them numbers. We played a matchup zone that they had never seen before. But I remember having to go to my kids and say, hey, stop acting like you're at an HBCU and act like you're on a winning team, that you have the mentality to win, that you have the desire to win, and that you have the skill because you've worked on it, you've practiced, you've been out there at 2:30 in the afternoon running on that hot track and in Houston, Texas. So you've put in the work. Now let it translate to your effort on the court.
Mm-hmm.
I got everybody wanting to play basketball, huh? Everybody want to play now. Go. Come on.
We got a question from one of our viewers, Al Jackson, and he asked, who was your toughest opponent?
Michael Jordan. I'm just kidding. I think my toughest opponent in the WNBA was probably Vicki Johnson. Vicki Johnson, she just was tough. She just would never back down. And it didn't matter if I came off a 40-point game and already had 30 on her. She was going to play me tough for 40 minutes, both physical. She did her homework as far as watching film, and she was consistent. She was going to bring it every time I saw her. She played for New York, for the New York Liberty. And so I knew that if I was playing against New York and Vicki was there, I had to bring my A game.
I love your mentality as a coach. I never got to coach. Well, my plan is to coach high school football when I went back to college last year. So I plan on going across the street from you and coaching at my old high school sooner or later. And I constantly tell people, as a player, we feed off our coach. And our coach taught us, he say, man, I can't teach you something I don't know. And that's what I constantly tell people. When you have that championship mentality, you're not playing for anything else. I want it all. I'm not finna be out here in this hot sun for 6 months just to make the first round of the playoffs and go home. No, I want to win the whole thing. And that's something that you have to drill into your players' heads. But the thing is it's really not hard to do because you can kind of weed them out on their own. They'll weed themselves out. Because if they don't have that mentality, they'll fall off. So you played with some great players. Tell me about that player relationship and the love that I know you had for Tina and for Swoops.
Yeah, like, the thing about playing on a team and traveling with a team and going through the ups and downs, not only of a season, but of a game. And then you've got to go on to the playoffs. And after you win your first championship, now you have this huge bullseye on your back. So literally every team is bringing their best when they play you. You don't have the luxury of having an off night. So Tina Thompson was amazing. And to see her growth from being the first rookie ever chosen in the WNBA to now being a Hall of Famer herself, Sheryl Swoopes, from having a baby to coming back in phenomenal shape, to her long distance 3-point shot, to her spin move on the fast break, and her cat-like quickness on the defensive end. So see, if you talk to Coach Chancellor, Tina, Sheryl, really anybody, I ain't really playing no defense. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. Because guess what? That wasn't my role. My role was to score. That's what I did.
Right. Well, one of my questions is, like I said, I'm a hardcore Sparks, LA, everything for me. But how did you guys continually rebrand the roster? Because Rebecca Lobo came, Dawn Staley came. I mean, they just kept coming. I'm thinking, isn't there a law against, piling on and super teaming and all that other stuff? I mean, you guys always had the talent and the leadership on those teams.
Well, I always thought that LA, Penny Toller, did a fantastic job with having really the best talent in the league every year. They just didn't have me. Anyway, say that in the most humble way possible. No, I think that Coach Chancellor and his staff did a fantastic job with filling the void, filling the need. Sometimes it was a post player like Monica Lamb. Sometimes it was a guard like one of our point guards, especially when Kim went out sick, and Sonia Henning, for example, or Coquise Washington, or there was always a need, and our staff and really the general managers did a fantastic job with securing those players. They knew what they had in me, Tina, and Sheryl. They needed a supporting cast, Jeanette Arcane, to be around, because they knew certain games it wouldn't be enough just to have the big three. There would be a game plan for those three. We needed some other intangibles to really help get us over the hump. But also, I don't believe me, I don't believe Tina, I don't believe Sheryl came back the same next year as we were the year before. I felt like we came back stronger. We worked on our game. We added things to our game. We perfected things to on our game. And so we actually came back different, because we didn't believe that you could be the same as you were last year and have better results or the same results the next year, right? So we worked and worked and worked. And that's how it came. Look, we had a swag, like we had an energy. When we walked in the gym, we was like, yo, who's next? Like, who got next? Like, what's up? Oh, it's y'all? Okay, let's go. Like I tell my players, I was like, if we're playing pickup ball and nobody had jerseys on, you didn't know that this kid was at UConn, or this kid was at Tennessee, or this kid was at Oregon, would they win this game? Not a chance. Not a chance. Because I compete to win in basketball, not just because I have USC or USA or you. I compete because I don't want to lose. Ever.
Demetra?
So a lot of times people, when they hear of the word coach, they think that person is just dealing with things that go on the basketball court or whatever. But how much of your job is actually dealing with players with their personal issues outside of the court?
Probably 85% of my job is dealing with academic issues, personal issues. You know, sometimes my kids just needed someone to talk to. I'll pull them in the office, we'll talk. I'll see something. I'll be like, one of my players had a, problem with her dad. I was like, don't even think about it. You don't have to ask me, can you go home? Go get on a plane and go home and be by your father's side. You know, another one of my players had a person, we just went in the office and we just sat and talked. We didn't mention basketball at all. So especially with women, I think if you want women to play hard for you, you've got to invest in them off the court. They got to know that they can trust you, that you have their back.
Well, I'll ask you a question. Nowadays, it's tough for me to watch the NBA. It's tough for me to get behind the teams that's making the most noise because I call them ready-made teams. And I think that the Jordans and the Birds and a lot of people get a lot of flack because some days they don't respect these super teams that have been put together. The thing that I loved about the Comets is they drafted all of y'all. So, you know, the thing is it really wasn't ready-made. Basically you played with what you had. What's your opinion of the state of basketball when it comes to these ready-made teams? Because it's like they stacking the deck. You know, I can't get behind the Warriors because you got enough cap money, so you go buy the best player. You know, I don't think that's the measure of a true championship team.
Well, I disagree. I think you win, and you win every day. And there's something to be said from about Stephen, Curry knocking down 3-pointers from half court. That don't mean you're a super team. That's skill that he's worked on, and he's worked on his game in the offseason. You know, Durant and how his game constantly rose during the playoffs, and he became a monster, unguardable in the playoffs, for example. Or, I mean, how about my boy Thompson and his 3-point shooting, and how every time you double teamed over here and went and tried to do something special for Curry and Durant, and he's just sitting out there and knocking down 3-pointers, but 7 in a row. You know, that's skill that you've learned. Yeah, you can say that they were a super team, but nobody wanted Curry when he came out. Nobody wanted Thompson. Yeah, they were like, oh, he could shoot. But when you put those things together as a front office, yeah, you say they're a super team now, but Curry barely got drafted. You know, and that's just the truth. He went to Davidson. So, you know, there is something to be said about the work ethic that they put into it. And so I believe this, and this is simple for me. I love the NBA, by the way. Yeah, they could do with some skill work, and they're trying to do that in their, I think it's the D League. They're trying to get these younger players that need skill work to get it there before they go into the NBA. But I'm going to tell you something right now. They are talented. They are gifted. They are athletic. So I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. And when you start talking about super teams here and there, they still got to get between those lines, and they got to compete every single night, and they got to play an 80-game schedule, and they got to go back-to-back games, and they have to do all of these things and perform in front of their fans on television every night and bring their A game. So, you know, for me, it's worth it. They're worth every single dime.
This is my question, and I'm gonna pass it to Dimitri. I stopped playing in high school, so I got a chance to play in the 8th wonder of the world, Astrodome. And you played in. I'm
gonna have a drink of water on that one.
Well, you know, some of our biggest fans at the time, I was a Yates Lion, so some of our biggest fans, because they wasn't doing too well, were Rockets, were Oiler players, and Houston Gambler players who used to come watch this little high school team that would pack about 50,000 on a Friday night in that building. And it was electric when you're standing under that tunnel waiting to come out, and it's 50,000 people out there for you.
Yeah.
What was it? And I mean, you kind of spoke on it a little bit. What does that compact center mean to you? Because that place used to be rocking when y'all played.
Yeah, I mean, it was a responsibility. That's the first word that comes to my mind. It was a responsibility for me to bring my game every night, not to take a night off, because they paid their money to come see me play. I wanted to promote the sport. I played for the little girls. It was a family atmosphere, but it was amazing. I mean, just amazing. The to hear the crowd cheer you on, in the good and the bad. Like, there were games where somebody was sitting on the side, right there on court side, and said, you should have took that shot. I went and scored the next 6 points and said, what are you talking about? Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about no. And so, but that interaction, that love, that passion for the game of women's basketball, you could feel it in the fans. You could feel it in the arena. You could feel it every single night. And it was amazing to play in front of them and for them. And I really did feel like I was playing for the Comets fans and the city of Houston.
Well, I tell you, Houston has a history of something, but I don't think they did it with you. Normally, our sports teams, when people are close to the end of their careers, they find a reason to ship them off somewhere else. The Oilers shipped Earl off. The Astros shipped Nolan Ryan off, and he went to Texas and threw 2 more no-hitters. The Rockets shipped Elijah Wan to Toronto. But that's one reason I love the Comets, because they kind of just let y'all just ride till the wheels fell off. And I appreciate everything that you brought to the game. You made a lot of little girls go to the playground to work on their game. I seen it being done. I want to be Coop. I want to be Coop. I want to be Cheryl. Well, just keep going to the playground. You gave a lot of little girls all over the country a lot of hope. And now we're seeing the byproduct of it, because you can go to a college girl game, women game, and it'll be crunker than the men's game. So, I love it. I love the fact that finally, you can go through college and play your career, not have to worry about when you get out. Do I have something here? You don't have to. You got something here now, and we all have to fight to make sure that the WNBA doesn't go anywhere. We have to make sure that it stays surviving, because it has helped a lot of little girls who ended up being the Coops and the Swoops and the Teresa Weatherspoons. It gave them somewhere they could be, and they didn't have to get on a plane to go and do it.
Yep.
Demetra?
So I could tell you have this championship or bust or do or die attitude. And I know you have it off the court as well as on the court. Can that be taught? That's
a great question. I don't know that it was taught to me, but I've always had it. And I didn't develop it because I was winning championships. I developed it because I grew up in Watts, and I didn't know where my next meal was coming from, and I was hungry. And so I was hungry to eat, and I was hungry to win, and I was hungry to survive. I was hungry that the only chance that I would have to further my career, to have a career, was to further my education. The only way I could do that was to get a scholarship, because we didn't have the money. So I think you can teach love of a game, love of something, but you have got to determine, what is your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you here? What's in it for you? What's going to make you bring your A game every single day? And when that happens, I tell them, why aren't you practicing hard every single day? And they're like, oh, because I'm a little tired, I'm a little sore. I said, well, if you worked through that fatigue, then that's all your body would know. Your body would only know how to go hard. It would only know how to fight through it. It would only know how to knock down that jumper. It would only know how to be great. And so when you need it and you really didn't feel like it, your body would do it automatically, because that's what it's used to. It's used to feeding, eating. It's used to being at the top of the food chain. That's just who I am. And I got that from Watts.
Right. A lot of people on the thread are wondering, do you see yourself aspirations on becoming the first female head coach in the NBA, or do you have aspirations to coach in the NBA?
That's a great question. I would love to coach in the NBA. I think I could really develop some of these young players, especially with my mentality. You know, I have more of an NBA male mentality than I do, you know, a female WNBA mentality, so to speak. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I will teach them. I'll teach them my in and out move. I'll teach them my little flinch. I got some people still in the gym looking for me. I'm just saying. So I could teach that to these young guys and really the mentality and get these young guys ready for their head coach. So yes, I would love to coach in the NBA. I would love to be a head coach, but I feel like I would have to pay my dues. So I don't mind being an assistant coach and really helping to develop these young players to get these guys ready so that their head coach, that they can be utilized, especially when it comes to playoff time and some of your, you know, big time players get a little tired and they need a little more rest.
Now, you know, I want you to be the best recruiter that you can be. You don't have far to walk to recruit. You can go across the street to Jackie A. Senior High School, who consistently has girls that make it to the 13th game, well, not 13th game, but third round of the playoffs. You can always go over there. They got some good student athletes over there on the female side. And matter of fact, I honestly, our valedictorian this year is a female basketball player. She has the grades. She can go anywhere she wants to go. And this kid has a story that's crazy. It's crazy. And she used basketball to fight through everything that she went through. But we kind of just rallied around her to make sure that she had everything that she needed. Let's take you all the way back to when you were a little girl. When you were a little girl on the playground. And, you know, a lot of people don't understand sports sometimes is the only way that we can get out the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. That's the only way we can get out the neighborhood. I mean, sports helped. I played with 63 guys, and it's never been done again. Win a state championship, and 39 of us get scholarships. It's never been done again. So, I mean, outside of that, maybe 10 of us had the money to go to college. So you hear a lot of people complain, oh, it's not about sports. It shouldn't be all about sports. But as I tell them, sports brings children to high schools. They put kids in the seats for schools that have low enrollment. What would you tell these people who at the end of the day, and I know what Bear Bryant said about wins and losses. What would you tell these people about your child being, and I hate these parents that want to coach the game and ain't never played it. What would you tell these people about their child using sports? Because I told it to my nephew. Say, man, just use sports to get the degree. Get the degree and we'll be fine. But he ended up being a hell of a college athlete. What would you tell a parent about using sports to get to that next level?
Well, it's not all about sports. You're using sports as a vehicle to achieve your dream. So it is about sports in a way, because now you don't have to worry about books and tuition and some of the other costs of college. And it's up to you to instill in your child the whole passion and the determination to achieve both goals, to be a champion on and off the court. And sports don't just teach you how to play whatever your sport is: football, basketball, soccer, baseball, track and field. It doesn't just teach you that. It teaches you how to persevere. It teaches you how to present yourself. It teaches you how to react to pressure when you have the pressure of a presentation and you have the pressure of making this free throw. Sports teach you how to deal with that, teaches you how to come within yourself and have confidence in yourself. I learned my confidence through basketball, have confidence to stand in front of those people and put and nail that presentation, just like you stand on that free throw line and nail that free throw. That's what sports teaches you. Sports teaches you how to work together in a group and not just be an outlier, but to take the best from everybody and you be the better because of it. And it also teaches you how to learn from other people and be a sponge because you don't know everything. Sports teaches you all of these things. And without sports, that's why a lot of these Fortune 500 companies want former athletes because they know that they're disciplined and they're determined and they're not afraid and they know how to step up to the plate and they know how to be on time and they know how to finish what they start. They have all of these tools and they learn them from sports. And on top of that, they have a scholarship. So you as a parent and them as a student don't have student debt, and you as a parent don't have debt because you're paying their tuition. What's better than that? So you get all of this benefit and you get it free of charge. That sounds like a win-win.
Demetri?
What would you say are your 3 keys to success? If you had to give somebody advice to being successful, what are your 3 keys?
I'll just say the first thing came to my mind. So the first thing is work hard. You've got to be willing to put in the work. You can't be afraid of hard work. You can't be afraid that you won't make it or you won't. You've got to be able to put in the effort to make yourself great, to make yourself a champion, to succeed. And I think the second thing is to hang tough. They hang tough. You got to be able to hang tough in the tough moments that life bring you. Don't quit. Hang in there. Because the sun is rising the next day and you have another opportunity to jump right back on that horse and do it better. And then I would say be a finisher. Somewhere in there, I would add, don't be fearful of making a mistake. But you've got to be a finisher. You've got to be able to finish what you start. You've got to be a strong finisher, not limping over the free throw or limping over the finish line. You can't just fall over the finish line. You got to run through that tape. You got to be great when you get through that tape. And that way, you show everybody that you got some more. You got some more in you, that you're ready for the next one. And so I would say work hard, hang tough, and definitely go the distance and be a finisher. But I think nowadays, the young people this day, I'm just going to add one more in there. You cannot be afraid to fail. Because I was never perfect, because I started playing late, I wasn't perfect. I needed to learn as much as I could. And so I had to fail a lot, especially at the beginning, so that I can learn from the things that I didn't do well, learn from the failures, and make an adjustment, do it better the next time, And then I became a Hall of Famer. I didn't become a Hall of Famer because I never failed. I became a Hall of Famer because I got up and I kept getting up. And I've been getting up all my life. That's what greatness is. I'm sorry. I feel like I got a little preachy there, but amen.
No.
That's just the way the champions talk.
Yep, that's it.
That's just the way that they talk. And to answer Demetri's question about, putting, how can you develop a champion? I've never coached on that level. I coached youth ball. And even when I was in youth ball, I was relentless as a coach. I couldn't understand it, to where I joined one league, American Youth Football, and sent the defending national champions in my division an email before the year started. Meet me under the lights in Miami at the end of the year. And at the end of the year, we were under them lights in Miami, and they showed up. And that was probably the greatest game that the president, Joe Gallat, who was a former coach of the Houston Oilers, he said, I've never seen a team play like that. And I say, well, welcome to Texas, homeboy, because we don't understand nothing else. So, I think champions are bred. I think they're bred. When you're coached by Cynthia Cooper, when you walk in the gym, you already know the expectations are. She's not there to play with you. Mm-hmm. She want it all. And if it ain't what you want, and y'all from Southern Cal, you know what Warren G used to say, that we want it all. Brand new socks and drawers. We want it all. So, if you don't want it all, don't show up at this gym. Don't show up. And that's the way our coach was. He not going to play the game. You could come out there in the summer and see 300 kids by themselves with no coaches.
Getting better
every day. You're going to put the work in. That's all it boils down to. Champions work hard. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Amen.
Dimitri, final question for Super Cool.
I don't have a question, but I see why they call you Super Cooper. I am totally inspired. And I love asking guests, what are their 3 keys to success? And everyone that I've asked that so far, their number one has been hard work. And I can tell just by listening to you that hard work has most definitely driven you to this point. So I look forward to seeing what's next from you.
Donovan?
Absolutely. Now, again, thank you for being on the show. I mean, come home to LA whenever you're in town. You're always going to be welcome here. But you've been married now. You're a Hall of Famer, and you have twins. Are we going to see a Dyke in the WNBA one day, or maybe in the NBA?
I hope so. My daughter is actually going to play basketball at Furman out in South Carolina. My son, my daughter is going to major in both physics and engineering. So not just basketball. She's going to go there and become a mechanical engineer and have a degree in physics as well when she leaves. And then my son is going to Pepperdine. He's going to be a business major. He's amazing with his 4.3 GPA. It's just, he plays tennis. He's a lefty in tennis. He also plays basketball. So we'll see which one he actually plays when he's there. But I'm thoroughly excited and just blessed, blessed that I have amazing kids. And they're just, they're the joy of my life. I love them to death.
Yes. Well, if anything, they get it from their mama.
Well, I want to thank you for leaving it on the court, because before you young ladies showed up, we were going through it in this city, and you brought them ticker tape parades 4 straight years in a row, and you gave us a reason to chill. It mattered if they were ladies; they just balled out, and that's what it was. And when you say you walk in the gym and you just like, who next? That's the attitude you got to have.
Right.
That's the attitude you got to have. And, I tell you what, I was in that Compact Center many nights with y'all, and I can't wait until that H&P Arena get to rocking like the Compact Center, because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. And I thank you. And tell Cheryl and Tina they welcome to stop by anytime they get ready.
I will definitely tell them.
Thank you, Coach, so much for all the great memories, for all the championships, and wish you luck. We get through this pandemic. Wish you luck on this season. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Man, oh man, when you're talking about championship mentality, I would hate for her to be my mama, because you can't quit.
Probably great as a mom. She gonna give it to you as a coach, man.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying that.
And you know what? People don't understand. You can relate to somebody like that if you've done what they've done on any level. Being a champion is hard as hell. One of the hardest things you'll ever do, Dimitri, is beat a team twice in one season. So in basketball, you're going to see these teams multiple times. You see at least 4 times on the pro level. And when folks say, well, they swept them. I mean, dude, that's an accomplishment, because they know all your tendencies. They know what you're going to run. And to be able to pull that off is crazy. But I really love the fact that she took the time out to come and sit down and talk to us, because she didn't have to. She didn't run from us like the politicians. So
yeah, but the funny thing is, everybody knows Coop from her pro level and stuff, but to hear her backstory. Now, just think about this. She was averaging 31 points in high school and had to play with Cheryl Miller and the such and such twins. Mm-hmm. Now, Cheryl Miller is regarded as the McGee twin. But Cheryl Miller is regarded as one of the best female basketball players of all times. And then for this little 5'10" guard to come out and kick the doors open for lady basketball just as much as Cheryl did. man, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, and I tell people, if you look at her accolades, she won a championship in every level that you could win one. High school, Pan Am Games, World Championships, Olympics,
College.
WNBA. I mean, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And even Jordan can't say that.
Hello. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, humble, down to earth. I mean, you can't be you can't ask for more in a coach. And I really do feel somewhere along the line, she's going to be coaching in the NBA.
She can handle it. Trust me, she can do it. Demetri, what's your opinion? You don't do sports.
Y'all want some calories and apple juice?
I need all my calories.
The look on y'all faces is just like it's actually pretty good. So I watch sports every once in a while. I don't have TV, so you know the story. But I really, really love the human side of athletes, because a lot of times we only hear about the numbers and the teams and all that other stuff. But it's really, really interesting to hear what drives those people. That's why, I want to make it a point to ask people what their 3 keys to success are, because they got there somehow. And I also thought it was important to ask them, can you teach your drive? A lot of times that's a big debate. Can you teach drive and hustle, or is it something you're just born with? But for her, as she found it, that she had a why, a why as to, what drove her. And so that's what I really love, especially about this interview. It's probably my favorite interview, honestly, because it's just a humble, just like, I love people who are like do or die. I don't care. I got to do whatever I got to do. I'm going to get to the goal. And I like one thing that I think we should all pay attention to. She said her goal wasn't just to win the game of the day. Her goal was to win the championship. And I don't think a lot of people, I don't think they set goals that way. They just, I just want to get through the day, which is so what some people need to do. But I think.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, but I think if we all started looking at it like that, like what is the final outcome of this thing I'm pursuing, then I think we would all get to that point a little bit faster.
I'm going to tell you something real quick, that when you think of on every level, I respect champions from high school all the way up to the top. In Texas high school football, they regarded the team, and I'm going to show you how this works. The team that I played on as the greatest to ever play the game in Texas history. Now, you got to think of some of the great athletes that played coming from Texas. Tommy Nobles from Texas, Earl Campbell, man. We talking about, Ernie Ladd and all them boys, Mean Joe Green and all them. But the thing is the fall before we won the championship, we had to start working out. And the coach walks into what we call a skull room. We were in the weight room. This is where we went over our plays. And he watched the state championship that year. And it ended up in a tie. Odessa Permian, the Friday Night Light boys, and Beaumont French. And he said, if it comes down to a tie, what y'all want to do? You want to go for it or you want to tie? Because if you tied, you shared the championship. Let me show you how we thought. All 63 of us. Old man, kick back. Start middle linebacker, number 1 recruit in the nation. Old man, kick back. We gonna get you there. And it ain't gonna even be close. And when we started the next year, all he had to do was put the headphones on and show up on the sideline. They threatened him several times because we could have scored 100 at least 7 times that year. Easily could have scored 100. And then when we got there, they bet the house against us, against the Friday Night Light boys. Ain't no way these smart white kids are gonna lose to these poor black kids. So we saw the newspaper clippings. And what they thought they were in it. Halftime, 9-0. We up 9-0. Everybody like, what's wrong? Dude, we're a second half team. We just waking up. Final buzzer, 37-0. And you've never heard of us. You've never heard of us. But when we talk, even at 40, 50 years old, we knew what we wanted. We didn't care about a district championship. You know, you see how y'all used to wear your boyfriend's jackets, Demetra, in high school with all the footballs on them and all that. We squashed that on ours. We put one big state of Texas patch on the back. Because in order to have that patch on the back, you had to go through all them little footballs on the arm. And that's the way it is. So when she's speaking, when Cooper's speaking, I can feel that. Because when you hit the court, the field, whatever, if you're going to talk like a G, you're going to have to walk like one. You're going to have to walk like one. And you just going out there to, if I played your nephew or your niece in PlayStation 5 right now, I try to beat the hell out of them. Because I don't like to lose. Champions do not like to lose. And they don't make excuses. So could you imagine being a little league coach in a park? You know how as old people we get to reminiscing, oh, I went to Sterling, I beat Jones, and I beat this one, and then they would look at me. I really don't have no conversation for none of y'all because I beat all y'all. We were 16-0. So she got that swag about her. So I can imagine, you know, Swoops was cocky anyway. Cheryl Swoops was cocky anyway. Tina Thompson seemed like the quiet assassin to me. But, you know, I love the interview. And most of the times when you run into these pro athletes, they are just like her. They're easy to talk to. Because a lot of them have been through hell to get to where they at. They done been through hell. Final words, Miss Demetra.
No, I agree with you. Like I said, I'm inspired. It's just awesome, especially too to see, you know, Black women, because you know, Black women in general, we got that go-getter attitude, but just you know, to see it on her level, you know, I'm believe it or not.
Final words, Mr. Donovan.
Like I said, Demetra's a witness. I had season tickets to the Smarts. We would go and then check them out. So I just want to say this to the fellas out there. And I made this mistake when I was in high school. There was this girl. Her name is Sharon Morrell. And she was out there at the gym with us trying to play with the boys. And me being as I am, I said, nah, she ain't going to take me. This girl took me to town. And her kids, and I think she's in Texas and Dallas right now too. And her kids, her boys are balling as well. But that girl was like a mini Jordan. So for all you fellas out there that think that these ladies can't bring game, I'm telling you, it's a different day. It's a different day.
Now tomorrow we're gonna go free fall. What y'all want to talk about? Let's ask the audience. What would y'all want to discuss? What would y'all want us to discuss? You got some ideas, Demetra or Donovan?
I actually have two ideas. Well, one, I saw this meme. I mean, if we want to kind of get, it's not really trivial. I think we should discuss it. But it was a meme of a guy. I don't know who he was or is with his woman. And he says, if I pay all the bills, I'm going to cheat. So we could talk. I seen it floating around. And I haven't saw the video yet, but my daughter was talking about somewhere in New York where a Black woman was being attacked by another Black man. And all people did was film and ha-ha, and nobody really helped. And so the narrative that my daughter was drawing to me is that, you know, why is it that when the police, are attacking Black men, everybody's up in arms, but when, you know, let's say a Black man is attacking a Black man is attacking a Black woman, why is it, you know, the first thing to do is to film it and, you know, that ain't my business and all of that other stuff. So those are my two suggestions.
So we're talking about maybe domestic violence?
I don't even know.
Are you just talking about just the fact that they filming while a Black woman is being attacked?
Being beaten down.
Right, like, yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I won't cut for that. Okay, well that's what it is. Let's roll with it.
Let's do that.
So and then we'll come back Hold on a second, you guys. Hold on. We'll come back. We'll come back Wednesday. It's gonna be Love Your Blue Day Wednesday with former All-Pro, free safety, cornerback Vernon Perry of the Houston Oilers.
What?
Yes. Look like Houston in California. You know, in 1975, he picks off 4 passes on Dan Fouts in a playoff game. You know, so he'll be here to talk about it.
No. Look, the name haunts me. I remember the name.
Oh yeah, Vernon Perry will be in the building with us, man. So that's what it is. Tomorrow, Demetri got the subject matter, and we're gonna go at it. How in the hell could you stand there and film while a black man is attacking a black woman and do nothing? You a punk. And I'm serious about that. And that's the way that I feel about it, man. Because nothing else you can say. And I hate it. But Facebook will block us for speaking the truth. But they won't block them videos. I better be careful because they might try to block me now. You sat through another war zone with my co-host Donovan Saadiq, the Queen Demetri K, and our guest tonight, 4-time WNBA champion, Hall of Famer, Cynthia Cooper Dyke. Make sure you go get your tickets to them TSU women basketball games. It's gonna be off the chain, baby. And you know me, I'm the 5-star general. I see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock.